Spokane Valley could become a sanctuary city of a different
Councilman
kind.
Caleb Collier says that this
I'm proposing that the city of Spokane Valley issue a proclamation stating that our city is a Second Amendment sanctuary city.
Welcome to the fire.
Today on Church and State, the man, the myth, the legend, Spike Cohen. Hello, Christian Patriots, and welcome to Church and State, where we drive morality and religion over tolerance and apathy. And I'm your host, Caleb Collier, once again, your favorite far-right shock jock, and the show that talks about politics and religion. Jesus Christ is our referee, so it's always nice and clean. Real quick, point you to the website, churchandstate.media. Fill out this form for us. This is so important. It's essential to keeping you in the loop, sending you shows, because censorship is real. And look, the algorithms, they try to suppress us. So if you bypass that by getting our newsletter, and the newsletter includes a number of links to our show, you can bypass that. It's important. And also, I call you. I personally call every single one of you who fills this out. So if you want a chance to talk to me, which who wouldn't want to talk to me, Chris?
Yeah, that's... boggles the mind.
You know who you remind me of sometimes?
Who's that?
Patrick Warburton.
Again, who's that?
He's a great actor. He played the Tick in the live action.
Oh, okay, I remember the Tick.
Did you ever see The Emperor's New Groove?
I don't think I saw the whole show. But
He's got this
remember it.
This dry wit about him, and he's just like, yeah, weird.
That sounds like the Tick.
Yeah. Arthur, we need a word. Anyway, I'm getting totally off track. Fill this out for us. Also, check out the most recent episodes. Continue to bring in really great guests, really hard-hitting interviews. This one's doing really, really well. People are interested in alternative treatments for cancer, so check that one out. Friends, share it with friends, family, and neighbors. And of course, look it through our featured guests, which our guest today, Spike Cohen, he's going to be on this. But until then, check out some of the other ones and click on their name, and it brings you right to the interview. Also, peruse through the amazing affiliates we have, and I'll talk about one of those during the break. But they're great companies that I personally support, I shop with, I use, and with all of them, use that promo code Church and State. Many of them you get a discount, but all of them you'll be helping to support us. Speaking of support, hit the donate button for us. Keep us alive. Prepper Broadcasting Network, NRBTV, Your News, new one, Faith and Freedom Television, newscasters. There's so many great ones, and then national syndication through AM/FM radio. Obviously, with doing what we do and coming at you 5 days a week. Chris, I hear a lot of people, they're like, oh, you do a podcast. How many times are you on? And I'm like, 5 days a week. And they're like, whoa, you're doing 5 of these a week? That's actually unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I can see why.
Yeah, because it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work from me and from Chris. So, hey, you want to support us? Hit the donate button for us. And as I always tell you, no amount is too little. If it's $10, guys, that's awesome, and we appreciate it. So please hit the donate button for us. Lastly, if you want to get a hold of us, Church and State 1776 at proton.me. With that, let's go ahead and start the interview.
Hey, this is Caleb Collier with Church and State. I'm over at Freedom Fest, and I've got with me a man who shouldn't need an introduction, Spike Cohen. I've been following him for years. Man is a giant within the libertarian movement, and it's just a pleasure to have you.
I'm happy to be here, Caleb.
Awesome. Yeah, we've already been having some fun talking, and you recently, about a year and a half ago, you decided to dedicate your life to Jesus.
Yeah, surrender my life to Jesus in November 20th of 2024. I'll try to, it's just such a, when you're 44 years old, every life story's long. But I grew up in what I was told was a Messianic Jewish tradition, Jews who believe in Jesus. Mm-hmm. In retrospect, it was more of a mildly Jew-scented, non-denominational Christianity evangelical tradition, whatever that is. It meant that we were non-denominational Christians who used Manischewitz for communion. And we had our worship service on Friday nights. So anyway, I grew up in that tradition. And when you're a very young child, and I get what Jesus says about having the faith of a child. I had the faith of a child. My parents told me, and so I believed it. And the older I got, the more skeptical I got. And I think also it's true, you get skeptical, and also if God's not real, well, then you can do all these things you're told you shouldn't do. And so I very early on, I kind of strayed from the faith. And I wanted to believe, but it was there was just something there that was just missing. And it's funny because I knew I needed to marry a Christian woman, so I went and married a Christian woman, not a Christian. I married a Christian woman in a Christian church, even going to church with her at one point. But it just wasn't settling, and it actually came to full circle in 2017. I told my wife Tasha, I said, I don't really believe, like, and I don't want to lie about it. I think that doesn't make it any better if I'm lying, but I don't believe this. And part of why I didn't is because we were going to this like Word of Faith church.
Yeah.
And my MS, which I'd recently been diagnosed with, is aggressive. It was aggressive. Now it's been in remission for nearly a decade, but it was aggressive. And I'm going to a church who says, if you pray these prayers and if you believe, you will be healed. You will be healed. Because here are all these cherry-picked verses proving it. And so I'm hearing these verses and I'm praying. I remember I'm sitting in a car sobbing, reading these things and saying, God, please heal me, please heal me. And he didn't. And I go to the pastor and I say, you said if I believe that he'll heal me, but he's not. Why is that? It's like, I honestly don't know. At least he didn't try to say like, oh, you're a bad Christian or whatever. But he said, I don't have a good answer. I just know the Bible says that he will always heal you. No, it doesn't. But anyway, so he said that. And I said, well, but for that matter, like when my mother-in-law died a couple of years ago of cancer, she was a faithful Christian. Why did she die? He said, I don't really have an answer. And then when I got home, I'm like, everyone dies of something. So this isn't true. And unfortunately, I went and said either I'm just not a real believer and God's not going to save me or heal me, or God's not real. So anyway, so I told my wife that, and her response was what any Christian wife would and should do. She said, I'm going to pray for you. And so fast forward many years, I realized, this MS has actually completely changed my life, made me re-look at everything, and made me take my health seriously. If you like any of the stuff that you see me doing, it's because I got MS. I would still be in a very financially successful but unrewarding in every other way career of web design and entrepreneurship that was just sapping me of my life. And I'd be like probably dead because I was like 200 pounds overweight at this point. And instead, I got MS, which forced me to do all these things. And now look at what I'm doing. And at one point I thought, this feels like someone moving me in a direction that I would have never chosen through a means I never would have chosen. And that sounds a lot like the God that I've read about in the Bible. And so that took me on a journey. And so long story made not quite as long. In November 20th of 2024, I surrendered my life to Jesus at 5:47 p.m. Fast forward a couple months later, my father passes away. We're going through all of his Bibles. He had all these Bibles that he would write notes in them like it was a hostage letter. Like you open these things and it was just, like the Pepe Silva meme, sure, where he's like this, and he's got all this stuff around him. That's what my dad, it was all these different colors, highlights and notes, had him scribbled all through these Bibles. Somehow my mom found the one page she needed to find and she said, when did you give your life to Jesus? It was November 20th, right? I went, yeah, November 20th of last year. She said, that's when your dad did. November 20th of 1974, my dad surrendered his life to Christ. 50 years later to the day, I did. Now, the following year, the 1 year anniversary of me giving my life to Christ, I'm talking on the phone with my friend Tub Rorabaugh, who's a pastor who kind of helped me through this, taught me through this, to do this. And so I call him, I said, hey, around this time a year ago, we were having our conversation. He told me to shut up, get off the phone with you, and pray to Jesus. And he said, wow, that time? And I'd written it down. I said, yeah, 5:47 is when I did it. And he went, wow, amazing. Congratulations. My mom, again, happened to be there. She goes, did you say 5:47 p.m.? I went, yeah. She said, that's when you were born. So I don't know, is that all coincidence? Very possibly. It's not proof of anything, but yeah, that's my story.
That's a pretty incredible story. And not just that, we discovered that we're both part
yes
of the same denomination. There's a good wing of the Lutherans and a bad wing.
There's the Lutheran wing of the Lutherans,
yes,
and then there's the increasingly not really even Christian wing of the
yes,
Lutherans.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So and me, and I don't know, have you ever read the book Has American Christianity Failed by Brian Wolf?
I haven't read it, okay, but I'm a huge fan of Pastor Brian. I watch a lot of his YouTube theologians content. Yeah.
He's the guy. I read that book and I highly recommend it for you.
Okay.
But just when he was talking about this endless cycle of piety and despair, of fail and then coming back to the Lord, and that just hit me between the eyes. It was like, that has been my entire Christian walk, and that's what got me to convert to Lutheranism. And so, what for you, specifically, what attracted you to that?
Well, so again, the last time I had been going to the Christian churches I had gone to were basically our home church, where my father was our pastor, rabbi, whatever you want to call him. And I would ask him questions. And the thing is, when a very difficult and more than likely autistic kid is just constantly asking his father questions, eventually they just get tired of it. And I'm sure at some point he's just like, listen, you either believe or you go to hell or something like that. And I'm like, well, I don't believe in it, whatever. It was the wrong person to ask my theological questions at the ripe old age of 8. And so I always just had that kind of skepticism. Then for a while, my mom was going to a Methodist church. I was now in my late teen, early 20s, something like that. And I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. And that's more of like a high church experience, more liturgical and whatever.
Sure.
But it didn't really, again, I wasn't there. I was trying to go and be live whatever lifestyle I wanted to. If I wanted to have sex, I was going to have sex. If I wanted to do drugs, I was going to do drugs, type of thing. Nothing more salacious than probably the average person, but that's the problem, is that's actually terrible and average. And so, I actually went to a church that I now know is a oneness church. I didn't even realize we were going to a heretical church at the time. I just knew it was Pentecostal and or apostolic, and or that's what they call themselves. And I went with my wife to that. That's actually the pastor who married us in the Methodist church, interestingly enough. And not sure how that got past him. But and then that Word of Faith church, and all those experiences. The Methodist church wasn't actually a bad one, but all those experiences were like, something's off here. And then when I gave my life to Jesus, I tried a few different like non-denominational churches, which at the time I thought were neutral. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really know what denomination I am, so I'll just go to something kind of neutral. And they're Baptist, or one was a Baptist. One was kind of evangelical, which I guess is a type of Baptist, really. Believers' baptism and a memorialism of the Eucharist is your Baptist. And then at one point I was going to a church that was part of Church of God, which was like Pentecostal. Actually, not a bad church, but they all felt like they were a scene. Like people were going there because it's the church to go to, and the pastor's really cool, and the music's great. There's nothing like bad about those things, but it wasn't a theological experience that I was trying to have. Because even now, I still occasionally have lingering, like, yeah, hey, but what about this? And, that sort of lingering, like, sort of like how we're never perfectly sinless. We're also never perfectly faithful. There's always these lingering doubts and questions, and they weren't getting answered there. I was being invited to have an internal experience of am I really feeling this, to show that that's how I know I'm saved. Well, I am highly mercurial and anxious, and I'm trying to figure out what I believe, and I'm not having the tearful experience that you guys are having, and this is not making me feel any closer to God. I actually feel like maybe I'm off here because the rest of you are all crying and I'm not. And so I wasn't really being fed theologically. And I ended up, so your pathway was Brian Wolfmueller. Mine was Hans Feining, Lutheran satire.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I start watching his stuff and I'm like, I kind of like this. And I actually reached out to him with some questions. And he encouraged me to go to a LCMS church in my area. And I'm like, man, they close communion to outsiders, and and I think they're the ones that'll at least pray with you. The Wells ones won't, but then I found there was one like a few minutes up the road from me. I'd driven by it 1,000 times, and I'm like, okay, I'll go there. And they were so inviting. And they were so welcoming. And at the time, I had so much anxiety about so many theological questions about assurance of salvation and all these things. And they were so patient. And they spent so much time talking with me. And the church is full of a bunch of retired pastors. There's like 7 of them, because this is like where I live in Myrtle Beach is a retiree area, and they all moved there. And so I'm like, man, there's just a lot of people here who are going to help decipher me. And so I've been going to Risen Christ Lutheran ever since. I still have yet to go through the full catechism, catechesis process, however you say that. I haven't been fully catechized yet, so I'm not officially a member, but I've had the conversation with them. I'm like, the real presence of the Eucharist is the thing that makes most sense to me, because that's what he said. Like Martin Luther writing writing with a chalk, the Latin for this is my body, and then like covering it up, and every time Zwingli would stop talking, he'd pull it back and go, ah, like that, because, and it's like, it's what it says. So whatever that deeper mysterious meaning that it means that we may not understand, that's what it says. And we know it doesn't magically, we know it doesn't transform into, like, it's not transubstantiation, but then that means it still is. And how is it? It is. And so I had that conversation with my pastors, and they went, yeah, that's a faithful enough understanding of real presence. And so I actually do commune with them. Still going through I still, honestly, every time they have new member classes, I travel so much I haven't been able to do it. But I will soon be a member, an actual member in good standing, but I'm already an attendee in good standing.
We had that similarity once again as well. My wife and kids are not so much on board. I'm like, I'm Lutheran now. They're like, wait, what?
Great news, everyone. We're Lutherans.
Yeah. And so, I'm also, I haven't gone through the whole process yet, but I call myself a Lutheran. I 100% everything that they teach, what you were talking about with the Eucharist, and what a beautiful thing that is too.
Yeah.
When coming from, more of that non-denominational sense that this is just symbolic.
Look to yourself.
And here's this wafer that's like styrofoam. I don't even know
Oh
what
my
that is.
gosh, yeah.
To go to that, to what the Lutherans believe, it's a beautiful mystery.
Yeah.
So you brought up Word of Faith, and I want to talk to you about this because I've been seeing a trend, and I'm not the only one. I'm sure you've seen this as well.
Yeah.
The younger men in particular.
Did I turn this off accidentally?
Is it green?
I don't know. Oh yeah, it's green on this side.
Okay,
Sorry,
we're good. It's organic.
Because I touched it at one point, so I just want to make sure I didn't turn it off. Go ahead.
So younger men are in droves moving towards more of that high church model that you're talking about. We're seeing Catholicism, Orthodoxy, a lot of people going Reformed.
Yeah.
There is even some within the Lutheran as well. Presbyterian. Word of Faith, Prosperity Gospel, the New Apostolic Reformation. I think people are getting tired of these, what I would call heresies.
Oh, and if I have to name one person who isn't even Lutheran, but I'll still name him, who has been at the absolute forefront of exposing themselves, and he himself is charismatic, Mike Winger.
Yes.
Who has just been like, listen, we are to mark and avoid. This is not like this whole like don't accuse the brethren. Like no, don't accuse the brethren wrongly, but like test these people are giving prophecy every day, and it's wrong, like and it's deceptive, and we can prove they were lying, and we're supposed to test this against Scripture, and it's not happening. So I think part of why people are turning away from it is like the same reason people are turning away from like some of the more scammy MLMs and stuff like that. Like it's so obviously a scam. And I think that Mike Winger's been a big part of this. He's kind of doing the whole like accountability movement. What was he call it? Cover up culture and like exposing it. And it's amazing. It's so good. And I do think it's going to lead a lot of people towards the more high church denominations. The purpose of denominationalism, for all of the issues that come with it, the purpose of denominationalism is to make sure that you don't fall into rank heresy accidentally or through deception. And so you have very set ideas on what you believe and on what you don't believe. And if you have disagreements on non-essential issues, okay, then we can still be in Christian fellowship together, but we're not going to be in, or we shouldn't be in, altar and pulpit fellowship. Like we're not going to commune together because your concept of communion is different than ours. We both believe that we're supposed to do it and that it is for the forgiveness of sins and in remembrance of Him. We have different ideas of it, and there's something in the epistles that's talking about how we need to have perfect unity in faith. And so to be on the safe side, it's not to say you shouldn't be doing it and we shouldn't be doing it. And we shouldn't then be working together as Christians and loving each other and loving each other and all of that. But let's just be on the safe side. And if you're saying we don't baptize babies and we say we do baptize babies, okay, you're going to not baptize babies over there and we're going to baptize babies over there. And I think that's just, it's a healthy, it's like good barriers make good neighbors type of thing. And we end up not fighting each other on it. We can disagree on it. We can have debates, but I think it's a good thing. At some point, people went, we're going to throw all that away because denominations are what's getting in the way. And it's like, no, what's getting in the way is our own sinful human nature. And now what happens is instead you're now going to the church of Bob, and Bob has a new word for you from the Holy Spirit every day, and they're all lies. And of course, if anyone says that, then they're accusing the brethren and getting in the way of the man of God. And that's a cult. And so that's why I think people are turning away from it. And I'm glad, because it's not. Word of Faith says You are a magic spellcaster, and God is your genie. And if God's not doing what you're telling him to do, well, then you're not spellcasting good enough. And that's putting everything on YouTube. Bad enough how some of these more low church traditions, even though they say you're saved by faith, not through works, lest you spread, like they believe in that. But there's a lot of like, look inward. Are you being Christian enough? And yes, we should examine for fruits. But I feel like they move too far that way. These people say not only that, but if you're not like getting everything you want when you pray for, well, then you're definitely not saved, and you're not a good enough wizard in the spell casting, and it's disgusting, and I hate
it establishes a caste system
Yep.
within Christianity.
Yep.
And
Based on lies.
Yes, and
Yep.
it encourages people to fake it. The amount of times that I've seen people either fake tongues or fake prophecy because they don't want to be looked at, they don't want to be in this lower caste system. It's really quite tragic, actually. And so I'm so thankful for my own personal journey. I'm thankful for yours as well. I didn't know you lived in Myrtle Beach. I want to move there, actually.
Really?
I feel like you're a long lost brother over here.
We have our experience is very similar.
Very similar in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But yeah, South Carolina is an absolutely beautiful state.
Yes.
Just incredible beaches and great people. So I want to get out of Washington State where I'm behind enemy lines.
That's fair.
Yeah. Now, libertarianism, and I'll out myself. You may think I'm a statist here, but I am a minarchist.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I joke there, right? Like,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
get along regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You're a micro tyrant. Yeah.
I love it. Libertarianism and Lutherans. I mean, here we are. We're two libertarian Lutherans. It could be a podcast title. My gosh. But how does that work with your faith?
So that's actually something I'm like working through and reconciling, because Martin Luther was not a well-known libertarian. He was also a product of his time, and he was very much from the end of the medieval era, who had divine right of kings. The concept of democracy would have sounded like anarchy to him. Yet the people rule. What are you talking about? That's a mob uprising, right? So I actually wrote this it was both way too long and also not nearly comprehensive enough. I wrote a post called "Why We Should Thank Martin Luther for the 4th of July, Even Though We'd Hate Him." And it talked about how, so I'm going to try to do this distilled even more. So Martin Luther had a concept of the two kingdoms. And one kingdom is the kingdom of the temporal kingdom. And that's the governing authorities. And they protect us from harm, and they carry out, God's wrath through justice and so forth. Or I should say they carry out the sword to do, to basically everything Romans 13 says. Then you have the kingdom of heaven. You have the church. And so it's basically the church and the state. Podcast. So church and state. And so he very much believed in, those things should be separate. But he also believed that you should submit to the governing authorities means anything they tell you to do, you do it. You do not question it. You do not ask differently. And if they tell you to blaspheme, your response is, I can't do that. And if you have to punish me, that's fine. But you never resist. Then when the emperor, the Holy Roman Emperor, was basically going to force in Germany, in the Germanic states, force them to submit to Rome, he had quite a conundrum. Well, we're not going to submit to Rome. Are they going to just kill all of us? Because I don't see where we can do anything other than submit.
And he thought he was going to be martyred.
He thought he was going to be martyred, and he was accepting it. And so he actually met with theologians and princes and attorneys who kind of worked with him to develop he realized something. Well, he's not an absolute monarch. He is the constitutional head of an empire that's also made up of lesser magistrates, and they're all bound to this agreement, and he's not keeping it. And so if the greater magistrate isn't, I'm trying to distill this as much again. If the greater magistrate, because I find this fascinating, if the greater magistrate isn't keeping up his end of the bargain, the lesser magistrate, it's actually, at the very least, they're permitted to resist to the extent that he's disobeying.
It's the doctrine of the lesser magistrate.
The doctrine of the lesser magistrate. And they continued expanding upon it, and the Reformed tradition took it even further. But that's where it started. Now, that would not have meant the American Revolution. Nothing like that. It would have had to be strictly theological, and it would have had to come from lesser magistrates to basically just back him up to say, don't do that. But over time, his doctrine, the lesser magistrate, went from, well, the lesser magistrate has the permission to do this to actually they have the duty to do this. And that's a big change, because now you actually have to do something about this. And there are many other changes, but the real change happens. The lesser magistrate were the people who declared the Declaration of Independence. They were elected officials under at the time, the parliamentary and colonial system that the crown had set up. These were not wild-eyed, like the French Revolution, where just the peasants stood up. Like these were the aristocracy doing it. Sure. But in the Declaration of Independence, they did a very interesting thing. They made the people the greater magistrate. They said, yeah, we're still the lesser magistrate, but our rule comes from the consent of the governed. And not only do they have the ability to declare their consent, but they have the ability to withdraw their consent and abolish or alter the government. Now, Martin Luther, I am almost certain, would have hated this. And what he probably would have hated the most is that it is the logical conclusion of his doctrine of lesser magistrate. The lesser magistrate is completely in control. And they can choose to just make the people the greater magistrate. And so that's ultimately what ended up happening. So to go back to your actual question, what I am squaring is that I am realizing that using that doctrine, libertarianism is a way of saying that we, the people, the greater magistrate, are exercising our authority by the means of saying that individual people should be free to make decisions for themselves, broadly speaking, and that if there's any kind of outside governance trying to curtail us, it's only in any time that we try to regress upon one another. And obviously, you got to unpack that way more, and I'm not going to bother getting into all that, but that's kind of where that's settling on. I'm also on a journey on what submission to the governing authorities looks like. I feel like we do that a lot with You Are the Power. We're not threatening anyone. We're just saying, hey, we think you're doing this wrong. We would like you to do it this way. And we've had a wild success rate in doing that. So I know I just ranted for a long time, but that's how I'm reconciling. And I'm still in an active thing, because something I told God, I said, look, I don't want to be a libertarian who shoehorns Christianity into it. I want to be a Christian who, maybe I have a bias in this way, but if you are leading me towards something else, and that's the undeniable truth, then that's what I want to do. I don't want this to be about my ego journey and about me going, well, so I was always right, and now as a Christian I know I'm right. No, I am a sinful. I am Joshua with the filthy rags. And if Christ tells me, if God tells me this is the truth, well, then that's what I'm going to. As it stands right now, I think I'm actually reconciling this pretty well.
Yeah, I would say that you were. You brought up your organization, and I know we're probably running out of time. I could probably talk to you for a couple hours, to be honest. But I want
We can put a little bit more time. Yeah,
I mean, I want to be cognizant of your time, and I want to direct people to your movement.
Sure.
Because it's a great one.
Thank you.
So please tell people how they can find it, and tell people about it as well.
So at You Are the Power, we protect people from abuse by state and local level government officials. State and local. We don't, at least not yet, we don't do federal stuff. But what that looks like, protecting, and in addition to protecting people against abuse by state and local government officials, we also then try to implement changes to ensure that type of abuse never happens again. That looks like all sorts of things. It looks like parents who have been wrongfully accused of abuse and had their children taken from them, and face never seeing their kids again, face decades in prison for abuse that never happened. It looks like us stepping in, getting those children returned, getting those charges dropped, and getting the nightmare behind that. We've done that at scale all across the country.
Hey, this is Caleb Collier with Church and State. I'm here to tell you about Hunter's Blend Coffee. I got to tell you, I absolutely love this stuff. I'm all about the dark roast. Hunter's Blend Coffee, black powder. Doesn't that just sound like deliciousness and rebellion? I got to tell you, in America, we don't drink tea. No, we drink coffee. It's the food of the gods, and I endorse and support Hunter's Blend Coffee. Got to tell you, it tastes like freedom. So I need you to go over to churchandstate.media, scroll to Hunter's Blend Coffee, and use the promo code Church and State to help support us. And when you go to huntersblendcoffee.com, not only will you be getting a great cup of coffee, but you also, if you use the promo code Church and State, be supporting Church and State and our dogged pursuit of truth. And we're back, and thank you for staying with us. You're over at churchandstate.media, or at least I hope you are. And we're going to go right back to this incredible interview. But real quick, let's talk about one of our awesome affiliates. And really, anytime I get around libertarians, I genuinely want to go to Mark 3:7, because this is such a natural fit for any of those who like liberty, who like the Bill of Rights. And the Fourth Amendment has really taken on some great interest within patriots all across this country with the rise of these flock cameras and these data centers. The idea that, hey, our government's not necessarily the good guy and they're spying on us constantly. Well, do something about it. Do something about it that's really, really easy, actually. And perhaps that's one of the things I like best about Mark 3.7 is it's easy. It's so simple for you to switch from a regular phone to a ghost phone. I mean, this Marine did it. Chris, am I tech savvy? Like, back me up.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
No, I'm not. I'm like pounding on keys over here, like, work, do something. Like, the magic box isn't working, Chris. Fix the magic box. That's how I feel. That's how I operate, kind of. I'm probably not that bad, but I'm pretty close to that bad. Okay, so I'm talking to you, the people who, you don't know, you just want your phone to work. It works, and it doesn't spy on you. I love that. So go check them out. Get a ghost phone for yourself. They're even cheaper than the ones that you're going to find at the big 3 markets. That's a nice benefit as well. A phone that doesn't spy on you, that's cheaper and easy to use. What's the negative here? I'm not finding one. So go check out mark37.com, get a ghost phone, get a ghost laptop, and use that promo code Church and State. You're going to get a discount, and you help support us. And speaking of support, hit the donate button for us. Once again, please, we need it. I'm not opposed to begging. I need help. I need financial support to continue doing what we're doing. So please, if you like the show, even a little bit, you saw an episode you liked, all right, please hit the donate button for us. Keep us alive. All right, with that, let's go ahead and finish this interview with Spike Cohen over at Freedom Fest. I hope you're enjoying it so far.
So at You Are the Power, we protect people from abuse by state and local level government officials. State and local. We don't, at least not yet, we don't do federal stuff. But what that looks like, protecting, and in addition to protecting people against abuse by state and local government officials, we also then try to implement changes to ensure that that type of abuse never happens again. That looks like all sorts of things. It looks like parents who have been wrongfully accused of abuse and had their children taken from them and, face never seeing their kids again, face decades in prison for abuse that never happened. It looks like us stepping in, getting those children returned, getting those charges dropped, and getting the nightmare behind that. We've done that at scale all across the country. That looks like people who are facing losing their homes to eminent domain, keeping their homes. We've done that at scale across the country, and we're doing more of that. That looks like people who've been charged with crimes they didn't commit or brutalized by the police, and the police won't admit to what they did or won't release the body cam footage. It looks like us getting involved, the body cam footage being released, charges being dropped, and officials resigning in disgrace. And it looks like a many things. It looks like charities that were being threatened with jail time for feeding people, being left alone because you should be able to feed people like that. If I give you a burrito, there shouldn't be anyone stepping in and saying, "Hey, where's your license for that?" That's the kind of things that we do. We do them all across the country. In the past 3 years, we've taken on nearly 2,000 cases, and as impressive as that number sounds, that's children returned home. That's people still living in their homes. That's grandfathers not being removed from their grandkids' house because they're trying to populate a state-run senior center. That's all sorts of horrific things that people are facing. Us stepping in and just ending it and restoring people's lives. And in that I love asking this question. So over that 3 years, around 2,000 causes. If I said to you, Caleb, and in those roughly 2,000 cases, we've only lost X% of the time, what would that number, how high could that number be for you to still feel like we are a successful organization?
I mean, for me, and I'm probably going to be a bit of an outlier, but my perspective on this is if you just say one, you're successful.
If we've won one, yeah, we've lost one.
Okay.
We've lost one. We have had a roughly 99.9% success rate over the last 3 years. And I will tell you something. Anyone who knows me knows that I am a clown. And it's very clear that for a clown like this to be the head of, not just involved in, but the head of an organization that has been so wildly successful in just a short period of time, I think that God is intentionally using me for his glory, because you can look at a clown like me and see what I'm doing, and the effect that it has is similar to like a donkey talking. You look and you go, well, that's clearly supernatural, what's happening there. And I will take it. Praise God that he would choose me of all people, broken sinner that I am, to do these incredible things. Not only, let me tell you how great Jesus is. So not only infinitely before he created the universe, not only did he know literally infinitely before he created the universe, he knew every single terrible thing I do, including things that I haven't even done yet. He knows. And his response to that was not to never make me, or to smite me soon after, but to thousands of years before I was even born, die to atone for my sin, because that is the death of God himself is the only thing that can atone for the sins of all of us. To do that, to forgive me for the stuff that I have yet to do, to set me free, not just from the consequence of my sin, but from the condemnation of it, and to set me free to do good works I could never do on my own, in his name and for his glory. I'm going to cry. And to witness to his goodness and mercy. What an incredible God we serve, Caleb.
Amen. I mean, honestly, like, I'm getting a little bit emotional here. Like, I love your heart in all of this. And, you know, returning back to Lutheranism, I think that's one of the things that was so attractive to me, because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I am a wicked, wretched man.
Yeah.
Right. But that grace, that emphasis on grace in Lutheranism was so refreshing for me to say, you know, it's not about me. I am a wretched person.
I don't need to look to myself. That just makes me anxious. Yeah.
It's him.
If I look to myself, I just get a lot of question marks and exclamation points. I get very concerned. And can I see the fruit? Can I see the consequence, like the path? Yeah, I can see that. But I also see all the times that I just am like, that I didn't put him first. I haven't done my Bible study today. And it's like, you know, and it's because, well, I got these other stuff to do. I could have done it. Like, it's little things, it's big things. It's, you know, looked a little bit too long and a nice lady walking by. Like, it's even the smallest things that it's like, how does that go to heaven? How does that go to the perfectly just heaven? Here I am. I know I'm forgiven. He has already said, my sins are forgiven. Go and sin no more. And I go, well, I'll try. And he still forgives me. And the only way that makes sense is if I'm not looking to myself. Yes. Can I examine my fruits? Can I see that there's a journey happening? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's good. But is that the main source of my confidence? I would be in an endless panic attack if I look to myself. That's me personally. I you know, when they're like, well, just think about how the feelings, like my feelings are all over the place. Double-minded is not a terrible way to describe sometimes how I feel. Okay, anxious and all sorts of stuff. I am not the person to look to for my own anything. All that makes sense is that perfectly just God is also perfectly graceful and perfectly merciful and perfectly loving, and that only he can save me. And it is you know, I don't know if we also use the term total depravity or something similar, but it's like, yeah, I am. Is it that there's nothing good in me? No. Luther said this: we are just and sinner. There are saint and sinner. Where what is it? The snow-covered turret. Martin Luther.
They're one of the best explanations for us.
Martin Luther has some of the greatest. I love how I have a lot to say. I'm a big fan, but he's. I look forward to meeting him. But he is. It's true. It's one of the things I love about Lutheranism is we make it very clear with and it's not antinomianism, but it is very much this is 100% God, 0% you. The fact that you even want to move towards God is a gift of grace from God, and I love it. It's brought such assurance, such peace. I'm not saying I'm never anxious, but it definitely is yes, it's that's the only thing that makes sense is this.
And let me add some more clarity and perhaps some confusion as well.
Yeah.
We're not Calvinists.
No.
Luther was there before Calvin.
Yes.
So we're not Calvinists. We don't believe in what's described as double
predestination.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah. And you know, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. It's a fun one.
Well, I can sum it up very quickly. This is what I love about Lutheranism. We go, God wants all of us to be saved. He is the source of your salvation and even your faith. You can choose to reject him. No, we're not going to try to figure out how to square that. That's what the Bible says. Yeah. And we aren't nearly intelligent enough, much less infinitely intelligent, to square that circle. So no, we're not going to try to create a doctrine of double predestination. We're not going to try to create this Arminian free will thing. Brian Wolfmueller says it great. Salvation to Catholics is like a bank account. You know, every time you do something wrong, you're taking out, and every time you do penance, you're putting back in. And if you got a squared away balance, then you either go to heaven or you go to purgatory or whatever. In evangelical tradition, it's like who are you taking on the date? You know, Jesus wants to take you to prom. So does the devil. and they're both pretty cute. And which one do you want to do? We hope you take Jesus, and we hope you stay steady with Jesus. And it's like, I am a horrible person. Like what the things I think. Like if God said, Jesus says, and I love that he did this. You heard it said, don't commit adultery and don't commit murder. Well, if you're even having these thoughts, if you're even mad or lustful, you've done it many times. Well, then I'm like one of the worst adulterers and mass murderers ever. So what am I going to choose? Lutheranism says, no, your salvation is a trial. Satan is the prosecutor saying, here are all the horrific things that you do. And Jesus is the defender who walks up to God the Father, the judge, and says, I paid for this. It's paid in full. Telestai. And God goes, yeah, all right. And then you're saved. That's the only thing that makes sense. If he is perfect and we are what we are, then it only makes sense that it's 100% from him. And no, we're not going to try to square the circle between being told about stuff that sounds like free will and being told about stuff that sounds like everything's his decision. We're not going to try to square it away.
You just brought some tears to my eyes, man. It was a beautiful breakdown of what we believe.
Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing with the audience there.
Thank you.
Once again, cognizant of time, how do people follow you? And please, I don't think you shared the website.
Oh yeah, youarethepower.net. If you need our help, if government is harming you, youarethepower.net/help. We will look at your case. I can't promise anything other than we will look at it, and if there's anything we can do to help, we will. If you would like to become a part of what we're doing, go to youarethepower.net/join. You can become a member, be at the tip of the spear of the work that we're doing. Incredible stuff that we do, and we don't even have time to unpack it, but it's amazing. If you say, I don't got time, but I got money, and we need help keeping the lights on, youarethepower.net/donate. If you just want to check out what we're doing broadly, just go to youarethepower.net, and we'd love to have you be a part of this. Like I said, we are helping people who are having their lives destroyed and restoring them and putting an end to it, getting legislation passed to make sure it never happens again. We've spent hours talking about what we do. It's incredible. We'd love you to be a part of it. Youarethepower.net. And Caleb, thank you so much, brother, for having me.
It was awesome.
I appreciate it.
Awesome having you on. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to youarethepower.net.
You can go to .com, but it took us so long to get the .com that all of our branding already said .net.
Oh.
So either one, youarethepower.net or .com.
Excellent. Okay. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you. God bless, guys.
All right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. What a fantastic interview with Spike Cohen. I love this man, not only as a libertarian brother, but also a brother within the LCMS. That's right. We're both part of you heard it in the interview, both part of the LCMS, the Lutheran, the good side of the Lutherans. So I hope you enjoyed it. Share it with friends, family, and neighbors, and get involved. Get involved. Find a good local church. Get involved with politics, policies that promote liberty. Church and State is brought to you in part by Colonial Life Spokane Independent Agents, Finders Insurance, and Mark37.com. I'm Caleb Collier. I was born for a storm.
Welcome to the fire.
Hey, this is Caleb Collier with Church and State, and I want to tell you about a great product, Liberty Cigars. I know for myself, there's nothing grander than sitting around a campfire, having a great theology discussion with a group of men while smoking a cigar. That's why I love Liberty Cigars. Every cigar has a story to tell. Not only are you going to be smoking the finest cigars on the market, but you're also going to get a history lesson with every single one of them. From George Washington to Thomas Jefferson, the heroes of the American Revolution, generals, presidents throughout history. I'm telling you, I absolutely love Liberty Cigars. I need you to go to libertycigars.com. Use that promo code Church and State. You'll get a discount, and you'll also be helping to support Church and State with everything that we do. Hey, this is Caleb Collier with the Church and State podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you to go to Galileo.com. You need to stay connected no matter what comes our way. Whether it's government intrusion or a meteor falling from the sky, Galileo has you connected. As a Marine veteran, I can tell you that communications is essential. Galileo has you connected. Whether it's worldwide coverage, uncensored content, or real-time alerts, Galileo is going to make sure that you're connected with your friends, family, and neighbors. Just head on over to churchandstate.media, scroll over to shop, and hit Galileo.com. Make sure to ask them for a free bivvy stick. And make sure to use that promo code Church and State. This is Caleb Collier with churchandstate.media. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not sleeping on MyPillow, do you even patriot? I got to tell you, this is the most wonderful stuff from a man who's given it all for your freedoms. Whether it be the pillow, the sheets, or the slippers, I absolutely adore MyPillow. MyPillow has the greatest products around. I know when I want to shuffle around in my bathrobe and slippers and yell at the neighbors, of course I'm buying from MyPillow. I need you to head on over to churchandstate.media, scroll over to shop, because every single time that you purchase any of these products using the promo code Church and State, you ensure that we keep our message out on the air.
I thank everybody for your support in using promo code Church and State. You guys go to mypillow.com/Church and State too, and then you get your own little platform right there, everybody.